I need that money. I really, really do. I need that money. I really need that money. Really need that money. I need that money. I really, really do. I need that money. I really need that money. Really need that money. Really, that money. That money. It goes through my early history before I was ever a YouTuber, all the way through the early days, mid-course, and all the way up to almost present day. It stops about earlier on in 2024. Why did you decide to do such a long documentary, particularly on me, when your previous documentaries had always been much shorter than that?
Well, I mean, it's your timeline, right? So it really reflects the time a person is notable. And let me reference, let's say, the like Wings documentary, right? Videos.
Sure.
Wings really, like, he has a really lengthy history, right? But he really only became like relevant in the, I guess, Lolcow space in the past maybe 8 years. You have been causing a bit of mayhem since like 2003, 2001. So it was really because there was just so much stuff to cover, and people, like, people still wanted more. I guess, but yeah, it was just because there was so much stuff.
Some people, I'm going to be
Right.
honest with you, Jim. Some people have been nitpicky about certain parts of the doc. For example, some people about the PC. All right, this PC where this guy Mighty Furtado, he built me this PC, and when I arrived, it was partially not working as intended or as promised, and we got into a big scuff about it publicly about the cost and everything. And a lot of people were like, "Why was that such a big deal? It's just a PC." And I think at least, all right, from your perspective, just to ask you this, why do you feel that that was a key part of the story? This one situation about the PC that you even had him on and you interviewed him specifically.
It was just another example of like how you slighted a fan, right? It was just another like, and it was someone that I could interview, right? It was someone that I can get, like, that is still accessible to this day, that can tell their story, and that is just to, like, I guess, bring a voice to all the people you really, I guess, slighted over the years. It was just one example, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that totally does make sense. Because I listen, when I was watching this thing, I was publicly admitting, yeah, I made tons of mistakes. And the problem was in my early days, I had a temper and I basically would like act like I could do no wrong. Right. So if someone criticized me, instead of listening, I'd immediately shut it off and I'd be like, oh no, I know better than you. I'm the big shot. I'm the big YouTuber. I'm the one who has a successful business. How dare you even say that I'm doing something wrong or whatever? And it really irked me, that people would do that. And then over the years, I've definitely learned to mellow out. And now I at least hope that people think that I've improved on that. And I'm not trying to just leech out or reach out, excuse me, and attack every person who's being negative towards me. But particularly with this PC situation, this was one of the first times in my history that this was someone who had been an outspoken supporter of mine. Like you had said, they built a fan site for me and everything. And when this thing showed up, I really did feel like they kind of screwed me over. And quite honestly, I probably shouldn't have made a big deal about it. I should have just let it go. It's not a big deal, right? I'm the YouTuber. I'm the guy making the money. I could just get another PC if I'm really that bothered by it or whatever. But it got to me, and then I start talking about it, and then I misspeak because what actually ended up happening is in the react to your documentary, someone had sent me the original video where I had ever brought this up, and we played it live on the stream. And in that original video, I had said, this PC is $1,600. Like, I outright said that, and that was correct. Per your research, you confirmed it was a $1,600 PC. But because I'm so stupid, right? And I can't let it go, and I hyperfixate on it. And this guy keeps talking about it. I keep talking about it. The narrative changes to it's $3,000. I don't even know how that happened. Like, I don't even know where that confusion happened, that the number got inflated. So it's right that you would call me out on that. And I'm glad that you did. But when there's certain things in the documentary that were kind of hyper focused on those moments, some people were like, oh, I wonder why particularly this or that was such a long segment. Like the other one, the big one that people actually want me to ask you about is when you started talking about VTubers. Because people are like, it seems out of place. No one really thought that a VTuber thing was a big deal. What was your methodology with the VTuber segment? How did that come about?
Well, Phil, you're like, this is a very long question. You're adding a lot, so I guess I have
Oh,
to go
go
like,
ahead. I'm sorry.
no, 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 it's all good. So the $3,000, I believe, came from a comment, and Mighty Furtado, I'm pretty sure, has that comment on his Twitter where you stated it was $3,000 that you said, right? The VTuber segment too was kind of like to show you like how you are still notable even like today, because VTubers are like, I guess, uniquely more recent. You know what I mean? They're a
Mhm.
very new form of content, yet they still talk about you. And surprisingly, that was like one of the more viewed segments of the video was the VTuber segment. So I think it was a good idea to add them too. It was just like a bit of fun, even though it was more like one way. I think it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it took me for a loop. There's things in your documentary I didn't even know about. Like, I had no idea that VTubers had like a fixation on me. Um, I didn't know about the search engine to search all my videos for keywords to find how many times I said so. That's so wild to me that my detractors actually went out of their way to fish the transcripts for certain words and things. Well, I mean, that must have been a tremendous help for you with the documentary, right?
Oh no, yeah, no, it was great seeing all the trends of words and whatever. It's a really nice tool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I just want to make this clear before, because I'm gonna this I just wanted to get my documentary stuff up front out of the way before I talk to you about your own, stuff going on. I just want to let you know I have absolutely no ill will towards you whatsoever. Really don't have much or any issue with the documentary. There was a few things here or there that were slightly off. We talked day one, we talked a little bit about it behind the scenes about one particular thing. Nothing there was a big deal. Everything there I was expecting, and quite frankly, since I knew
We
this
talked
was
a little bit about
coming,
it
behind the scenes about one particular thing, nothing there was a big deal. Everything there I was expecting, and quite frankly, I since I knew this was coming, I was always planning to fess up to the WWE Champions account when I was live reacting to your documentary. I knew you were going to cover it so in depth that there was no way I was going to be able to be like, lie about it and weasel my way out of it. You were going to pin me to the wall on that, right? So that's why I did it during the documentary. What are your thoughts on that? That the whole arc basically ends with me reacting and admitting it.
I don't know. Like the thing is with that is it was kind of like an open secret where everyone knew that you were that account, right? Pretty much everyone I talked to, it's like, oh yeah, like even I knew, like my personal belief was you were always like, down from the rafters. So for you to admit it, I'm like, okay, well, at least things can move forward a bit and people can focus on something else. I think it's I guess cool for the arc, if that was your question.
Right, right, right. Um, in a lot of ways, it was kind of almost cathartic for me to watch this thing because it allowed me to see all my problems and the things that I've done wrong and to fess up to them and apologize for them and to let my audience know, this isn't who I want to be. This is crazy. How many people can say they've had a 4-hour documentary made about them on the internet that at any moment you could open it up and see all the things you messed up in the last, 16 to 20 years of your life, right? Um, but I feel like the way you did it, because the way you do your documentaries it's not malicious. And that's a good thing, I feel. And I respect you for that. There's other documentarians out there, they're literally going for the jugular. They're trying to make you look like more of a villain for drama purposes. And I don't think you did that. And I respect you for that. And also, I'll say this. I have an issue with documentarians who they'll do the doc, but then they want to create an endless feed of content, right? And I'm going to call someone out, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, and I'd like to have your opinion on it. So Turkey Tom did a documentary about me late last year, okay? And it was called 10 Years of Failure. And of course, I have issue with that title, whatever. That's not the problem. The problem was after it came out, he said he wanted to interview me. But come to find out, the whole thing was an attempt for him to get me on the Lolcow podcast. And he even said publicly, oh, this is a way to milk Phil for content and to keep milking him and getting more out of him. That I'm not cool with, you know?
What I I mean, Phil, I don't know like where to start. Like, I feel like that title is accurate too. What was incorrect about Tom's video?
Oh,
Like,
nothing. I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with
oh,
this video at all. I'm saying the fact that his intention was to try to get my attention to milk more content. and to basically turn me into a source of revenue. That's what he was basically saying he was trying to do, and that's what I wasn't cool with. Similar to side scrollers, where I had no issue with their original interview. It's the attempts to get tons of money and content out of someone after the fact when that was never really part of the upfront agreement. That's where I have issue with people. And I don't think that wasn't your attempt here with this documentary at all.
Well, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, like, I don't know really where you're going with this because I feel you kind of do it the same. Like you keep the drama rolling, and that's fine. That's like I think smart business. I
Mhm.
really just don't do that because I'm not like a personality. But I think on Tom's side, that if I was Tom, I would do the same. But I think even with like the crank stuff, right? You brought him back just to like insult him, and that is like drama too. You kept that kind of going the same way, if that makes sense.
Oh, Craig? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was on the show. No, to be honest, I didn't think that interview was gonna go that way at all. Okay, I really didn't. Like, I thought what was gonna happen was I was gonna apologize to him for lying on his show, and he was gonna apologize for the follow-up where he basically made a lot of money for my detractors, and we were gonna be cool. And that's not what happened. I mean, what happened, right? I had no interest in insulting the guy or anything. I mean, he told me to go fuck myself in that interview when I was being cordial. I was just asking him questions and pressing him on some things I thought were unfair, and he's the one who escalated it first. Okay. Um, but in your case, like you said, you're
Yeah.
not that kind of person who's going to be trying to escalate. You're not going to continuously make that content. I mean, at this point, you're probably on to the next 5 projects, right?
Well, see, that's like the difference. I don't think like I don't see that as an issue to try to escalate. I think drama kind of keeps like the internet alive. I mean, you yourself are like getting more into like the drama sphere, which I think is good for your channel. And I
Mhm.
I also like I don't know, Phil. I just don't understand. You know what I mean? I think we kind of like see things a bit different here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and that's fine. I don't think that we're ever going to see eye to eye on everything, right? But no, I just want to let you know I don't have any ill will towards you at all. I think it was a fair documentary. I think it actually helped me to grow, because I get to fess up the stuff that I had done, and you know, thank you for being fair is what I want to say up front. Okay. Now, before we move on, because I'd like to ask you about all kinds of stuff. Do you have anything you'd like to ask me particularly about the
Such a way
documentary?
because I mean, through their words, they're more credible people, and I have no reason to really distrust what they're saying as opposed to you, right? I believe I read how was it on I saw your entire reaction, and then you also admitted that you did not contact the other part of Project Seven, right? So it was a lie. I did find that, and it was in fact a lie.
Yeah, I think we were talking about respect the pact and that there
Yeah,
were
yeah,
two
yeah.
guys.
Because
And
the whole thing, to give context, it was they were like, "Hey, reach out to them for like and offer them money," and then you told them, "Okay, I'll reach out to them," and then they said no, and then you came back like they said no, which was a lie, and then Rambo, right, I believe, contacted them. And it's like, "Hey, so why'd you deny the money?" And it's like, "Well, money. Phil never told us," so it was also like it was just a lie, I guess.
it was, you're right. It was basically a situation where I was told something up front, and I had absolutely no idea that those guys would have wanted money. And if they actually did want the money, I would have given it to them. But we didn't have the conversation, and that's my fault. 100%. I should have reached out to them. I should have extended the, however you say, the olive branch or whatever, said, listen, you guys say you don't want to do it, but is it the money? And I didn't do that. That for me, I took them at their original word. And then later on, when John asked me, hey, did you offer them money? And I said, well, they don't want money. That was based on previous discussion months and months prior. That was not based on any current information. So you're right. You caught me out on stuff like this in the documentary, and rightfully so. That's the kind of stuff that need to get better at. And I've said this publicly now. Moving forward, if I ever do anything like Project 7 or anything like that ever again, even if it's with like close personal friends, I'm working up a contract up front. That way, there's no misconceptions about who wants what out of it. We all get what we want out of it. And that way, no one comes out at the end as being, feeling like they were misused or mistreated or not offered a fair shake. So, okay, fair enough. And I think that was a good answer. Um, Here's a question. Okay, here's another one. For June. So a lot of Phil's early rough play style was due to him drinking, and it's pretty funny. He had some falling outs with his friends publicly. He begged for money. He blamed everything but himself. He's tried to correct those things. Tons of YouTubers and streamers spend their money on supercars, drugs, gambling, on levels that would put Phil to shame. The big lesson for Phil to work on is honesty, his money management, and regaining some level of privacy and trying not to forget those lessons over time. Do you think that Phil deserves the amount of A-logging that he still gets? And do you think that he still deserves to be on the Lolcow list? Have the detractors become worse than Phil at this point?
So this is all just like I guess my opinion. I've never been a fan of like I guess the A logging, like really going out of your way to do something like crazy or whatever. But that's I guess it does bring up some entertainment. I don't know, right? I just I wouldn't do it. I'm not a fan of it. But the lolcow list, I think, yeah, like I guess what makes the lolcow is the consistency and the failure. And I can see like that you are still there. I think also you're always somehow gonna, like, be on the platform one way or another, but you are, I think, cemented there on the list.
I agree with you because the thing is, I think people hear the word lolcow, and is it a negative association? Of course it is, right? But sadly, it's not like something you can control. I mean, I wish I wasn't one, but there's always going to be these people stalking me. There's always going to be these people calling me out and bringing me up to try to elicit a reaction, and that's the very definition of a lolcow, right? Is someone who you do something to them, it gets that reaction, and then you laugh at it. So even though I feel like perhaps there's a turnaround now to some extent, I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of that stigma personally. I don't. How on earth would this crazy community of people who've been after me, right, for so long, just forget about me overnight? That's not going to happen. So to some extent, I don't think I'm ever going to shake that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you just have such a history, right?
Right.
To shake that would be like to shake all that, and, like, people I just thought I don't know how you do it, frankly. If you became a different person overnight, it just even then, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just kinda, like, stuck there, I guess.
Yeah, and it's tough. People tell me, well, ask me, how do you keep doing it after 16 years when every day you're going to go on the internet and someone's going to be up in your ass about stuff? And it's like, listen, you know what it is, honestly, June? I just get immune to it. I've been through it so long. It's kind of like you get desensitized. Like I know people are going to talk shit about me every day, no matter what I do. So why do I even care anymore, right? And I used to react completely differently, as you saw in the own documentary. I would get so angry about what everyone said and rage against it, and that just fueled more of it. Today, it's just like it's just another day. My detractors, I'll lean into them now. I'll expose them on my stream. I'll have a good laugh about it instead of getting so butthurt about it.
Yeah, like, I guess desensitization, I guess, is what you call it, right? It's like
Yeah.
you're exposed to it so much, it's like, whatever kinda deal.
Exactly. And asked this question. This is a direct follow up to a question that I asked Craig last week during my interview with him. I asked Craig, when you were preparing for your interview with me, who did you talk to? Did you only talk to my detractors, or did you also talk to fans and positive people? This person is asking to you, when you were researching DSP, did you interview an equal number of both critics and fans? Like, what was your methodology there?
My methodology was to, like, I guess how I'm approaching these videos currently is there's a lot of people that like dislike you, and I feel like some of them are kind of like crazy. They're insane. And a lot of them have like genuine, like the other like section do have like genuine reasons to dislike you because you directly slighted them one way or another. And the insane ones, they're very few. They don't exist in large numbers, but they're very loud. And the people who have like they get mixed in, right? So the people who have like general like criticisms of like, you directly, you know, doing something not favorable to them, I try to reach out to those people so they can be like reached to a general audience like better. Like if I'm reviewing someone who just like hates you and like wants to kill you, I don't think that's gonna reach a general audience. But if I reach out to someone that like, let's say the PC thing, I think that's a bit more tangible and such. But as for the question, I reached out to as many fans as I could. It felt like a lot of them were like afraid and want to be anonymous because they do
Right.
get some harassment and such. But I think it was like for quote unquote detractors and people, like any monarch you want to call them, and about three or two fans that I spoke to, like through interview and included in the video.
Right. Yeah, I mean, my fans have been through the ringer just like me. Just because they like me or because they toss me some support on a stream They've been harassed, they've been doxxed, they've had phone calls to their work, to their schools, to their family. It's pretty ridiculous the extent that these detractors have gone to try to ruin me. And the funny part is, how does that ruin me? Like, I don't even know that that's going on unless they come to me after the fact. So I'm not shocked to hear that my fans were actually legitimately afraid of speaking up. Like, they don't want to put themselves into the line of fire and the eye of these people in any capacity. And same thing that I said to Craig last week. Like, of course, Craig, no one stepped up to say that they wanted to talk about me positively because they don't want to be attacked. It's always going to be the negative and toxic person who wants to speak out first. Like, that's the nature of the game, drama, right? And you have to understand that. At least in this case, I've said this publicly, I feel like because you spoke to me on certain issues, not to say that you believed all my answers, right? Because some of them I was outright lying to you about the WWE Champions thing and shit, but you spoke directly to me. You did make an effort to talk to fans who were willing. And I think that puts that documentary in a much different light as opposed to someone who literally just talked to detractors and regurgitated the same memes. I think that's respectable. I do. So, everyone, Darkside Phil here. The only detractor channel that I watch is Duty Streams.